next year's our year, okay? Kia ora and welcome back to the Disc Podcast. AUS GP, it's the first race of the year. It's exciting. I'm excited. I'm also crushed. I am like deeply internally crushed. Let's get into it. Look, it's exciting to be back. It's, you know, as a New Zealand F1 fan, having a race that starts at 5 p.m. instead of 5 a.m. is always a treat, and so I'm happy with that. And it was a boring race for a little bit of it, let's be honest, but in the moments of chaos, when Ferrari were 1 and 2 for a hot second and this delusionally I could believe that there was a chance for greatness, it was so good to be back. Like, we are so back, F1. But, yeah, clearly Ferrari bias. This podcast is a Ferrari bias, but it's a tough pill to swallow to start off. But congratulations to Lando Norris for winning and just fighting off that Dutchman, because it's looking interesting for 2025. I think we can easily say that. Now, obviously, this is a season that we've all hyped up to be the next best thing since 2021, if not greater, because there's more potential championship players at play. Obviously, there's a better way to say that. There's more championship contenders out there this year. Hypothetically, that's what we were saying going off last year. It was just a real shame that Ferrari didn't have it together this weekend at all when it mattered. Obviously, Charles went fastest in FP2, which was enough for me to just send my expectations to the moon, or my hopes at least. Obviously, this is a track that he's been very dominant at. In fact, his probably most dominant performance ever was 2022 when he got a Grand Slam at Australia. This was back when we thought he was going to win that championship. That was my first season properly watching, and God, was I excited. Clearly didn't translate in qualifying. Neither he or Lewis had a great outing. In the race, you know, there was a couple moments. Obviously, Charles had a decent start, gathering a couple places, and when that rain hit and they stayed out, and then, you know, Lewis was first for like a brief moment there, I could see the vision they were cooking. Just in typical Ferrari fashion, they burned it pretty bad. Like, staying out was a gamble that they didn't really commit to properly either. But, you know, when you, as a commentator was saying, when you do that, you kind of just have to send it and like hope you keep it on the road. And I guess obviously they concluded that they couldn't do that. But the second they brought into the pit, just the feeling of dread just flowed over my body, and I realized that it was over. Also, Oscar flying off track, another victim of the rain. That was brutal. For a second there, he looked like he might win this race. He and Lando were, you know, neck and neck there for a second. He was faster as well, as at least by his words, he was faster. It was going to be an awesome moment if Oscar could win that race, but just absolutely bottling it the way he did was painful to watch. It was Lando's mum even on the screen, just giving a real like pained reaction, which was kind of heartwarming to see. Look, speaking of heartwarming moments, well, you know what? Let's just get into it. There's a heartwarming moment in this rookie destruction, as I've got it listed here in my notes. We had how many cars didn't make it? Let's see. We had Isaac Hadjar, who crashed on the formation lap. That was brutal, and the heartwarming moment was when Lewis's dad comforted him walking out. That was just a nice moment to see, really heartwarming. Obviously, you know, Anthony's had many experiences of comforting young drivers in his life, so it was really cute. So what, Hadjar crashed on the formation lap. Then it was, I need to bring this up. When Sainz crashed pretty early on as well. Alonso was in the mix halfway there. Lawson as well. Yeah, he was pretty early with it, wasn't he? Bortoleto as well. I was forgetting about him. And Jack Doohan was a tough crash to see happen, as this likely may be his only chance, one, at an F1 seat, but at having a home race, having a home Grand Prix. You know, if he gets replaced by Colapinto in a few races' time, as it's being heavily suspected, that's gonna sting. That's really tough. Obviously, the conditions were just cooked, especially if you're a rookie. But yeah, obviously, characters like Sainz and Alonso, especially Alonso, who, well, what do you mean Alonso's a rookie? Shut up. The most experienced driver on the grid, current Hackett and Sainz, who was no no rookie and no what term am I looking for? I don't want to say no, I can't say that. Sainz is obviously a talented driver. Did bits in the Ferrari. Hopefully, we're going to see him do bits in this Williams. But even he couldn't hack the conditions. It was clearly tough. But yeah, the rookies that did finish, good on them. Antonelli especially, great showing from him. Was there a bit of luck involved? Sure, but still, fourth place on debut, not bad. Yeah, just a really, really dangerous race in terms of just keeping it on the track. But two people who very much kept it on the track was Lando and Max. Actually, no, Max didn't keep off the track. He had that little mishap. He had a puddle, went off just a little bit. It was really weird seeing him make just what seemed like a pretty just flat out mistake. We've gone used to such a level of excellence from Max that seeing him slip up, no pun intended, was so odd to see. But I greatly enjoyed he and Lando's racing. Seeing Lando just beat Max as well in a race, just straight up, kind of crazy, man. Like, I do not subscribe to the hatred that has grown, especially in the Ferrari fandom, but in general for Lando. I understand why some people get frustrated with him or a little annoyed, but I think it's very overblown, I must say. I've been seeing this narrative as well, people saying that they would rather sit through and watch a fifth Max title than watch Lando win his first. No, that's not me at all. I would love to see Lando win a champion. Well, would I love it? I would enjoy it. I think it'd be good for the plot, really. Obviously, I'd rather see Charles win it. I think it's something that needs to happen sooner rather than later. And, 2026 is this big unknown. Hopefully, he's not out of it just yet, but as much respect as I have for Max, as much as I understand that I'm witnessing greatness when I see him win and like the dominance he's had, I do not want to see him win a fifth title this year. I am sick of it. I've only ever watched Max win titles, like straight up. That's I'm a little much of a newer fan, but I would love to see just some variation. I would love to see what Lando Norris becomes if he's a world champion. Like, does that mean I'm thinking about who he is as a person and how much confidence that adds when you become a champion, and I just think it would make things even more interesting than they are. So I'm totally here to see a Lando championship. After a race like today, it's one of those moments where, like Singapore last year, you go, yeah, he can maybe do it. Like, I don't know, the pieces are there. It's just a matter of will he keep this up for the whole year, because, despite that car maybe not being what it needs to be, Max still seems like a threat. Max still seems as fast as ever. Well, not as fast as ever, but he's still very much in there. Look, I've got my notes here to talk about the championship, and also right after it, that's really too early to tell. And yeah, that's the thing. This is still the first Grand Prix. Trying to make a statement on like who I genuinely think is going to win right now is obviously a bit pointless, because as far as I know, Ferrari could still come back into it. McLaren could lose it. Red Bull could maybe develop the car in a direction for a change, as a change compared to what they've been doing recently. Recently being end of last season, obviously. I'm just excited to be back, but I'm also just concerned. Like, it wasn't. There's not much data to go off, and the data I've got just isn't great. I would love to see Lawson do better next race. I'm really, really vouching for him. I'm so sick of the narratives online about him. I mean, I think he's another, talking about overhated drivers that's been blown completely out of proportion. I think Liam's absolutely had happened to him what we all feared when he replaced Ricciardo, that all the pain that caused is just being put onto him. I don't think that's fair at all. I just hope that he's able to silence the haters. And look, it's a tricky track. It was his first time ever. Very tricky conditions, very tricky car. I'm not worried about him, I don't think it's going to be a matter of he's a new Perez, as everyone's been saying. If this happens for the next 4 races, I might be more concerned then, but right now I'm I'm still very much in the camp that he can bring this back, and I'm still getting frustrated at the narratives I'm seeing about him because I believe in the guy, okay? I just straight up believe in the guy. What else do I have to talk about? Again, first race of the season, there's only so much I can talk about. The moment where it started raining and it was pit stops and when Ferrari got into the lead briefly, but just for chaos that had really made me hopeful for what the season hopefully has more in store of, because a McLaren dominance would be, a new logo at the front, but that just what is happening, who's going to come out of us in front, just that closeness and competitiveness and chaos was so entertaining, and fingers crossed this season's full of that. Even if it means Max has to win a couple races and I experience that Max Verstappen victory trauma again, sorry, what am I saying? Even if it means that Max has to win a couple more races just to keep Lando from running out ahead of it, or McLaren from being too dominant, so be it. If we can get the second half of last year, like Miami onwards, without a super dominant start from someone, this season's going to be one for the books, and I'm so excited for it. I am praying that my favorite Italian sports team can pull it together. I believe in them. There's been so many times where it has changed. Ferrari started the year maybe very strong and then fallen away, or many teams have just changed completely throughout the season, and McLaren wasn't really anywhere start of last year. So I'm not going to jump to conclusions, but I'm having to feed more into my delusions to stay hopeful for this year. Again, just going off the data we got from this race. It's a long season. It's a very long season. Much can happen. I'm really excited. Really short podcast. I do apologize. I'm just on a bit of a time crunch, and plus I don't have tons to talk about. I hope you enjoyed. I'm looking forward to doing this more often. Hopefully someone's watching this and that my advertising campaign works for it. I don't know. But yeah, thanks for watching the Disc podcast. I've been Adam, aka Blade Bolt. I'll catch you later. Subscribe if you enjoyed. Hoorah.